In the 1970s, Britain was a nation grappling with decline. The industrial heartlands, once the backbone of its economy, were being hollowed out by global competition and domestic strife. Oil price shocks and relentless union strikes painted a grim picture of a country in retreat.
Labour disputes, which seem to be that much worse down Liverpool way, and this week there's trouble in the docks and at Ford's plant at Halewood on the Mersey. This week too, the rumour started that Leyland might close their strike-hit factory at Speke, even though it's one of their most modern plants. Leyland's not an exception. In the past few years, a number of big companies have either moved away from Merseyside or cancelled plans to set up there.
Yet amid this economic turmoil, one industry thrived, the defence sector, buoyed by an unlikely saviour, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It began with arms deals, lucrative contracts that promised jobs and stability, but these agreements were more than economic transactions. They were the building blocks of a new era in British diplomacy, one where nations' global influence was leveraged through weapons sales. For the workers in towns like Barrow-in-Furness or Coventry, these contracts were a lifeline, but behind closed doors, they were bargains fraught with moral compromise. This uneasy pragmatism would come to define Britain's relationship with the arms trade. As factories churned out tanks and aircraft or exports, whispers of corruption began to circulate. By the late 1970s, allegations of bribes and kickbacks tarnished the reputation of both politicians and corporations. The most notable scandal, involving British arms giant BAE Systems, would later expose a sprawling web of influence, one that stretched from Downing Street to Riyadh.
This is where groundbreaking innovation begins to take shape, where dreamers come together to unlock their best potential, and where you can discover a meaningful purpose supporting our missions around the globe. BAE Systems.
This wasn't just a British story. The arms trade's tentacles reached deep into geopolitics, shaping alliances and conflicts. British-made weapons found their way into proxy wars in Africa, the Middle East and beyond, fueling cycles of violence that echoed the Cold War's ideological battles. The legacy of these deals lives on. Today, British-made bombs fall in Yemen, a country mired in one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Saudi-led airstrikes enabled by arms sold under the banner of economic necessity have killed thousands of civilians. The same justifications, jobs, influence, stability, are used to defend these sales, just as they were in the 1970s. But this is not just about Britain. The global arms trade, with its secrecy and moral ambiguity, reflects a broader truth about power. Who benefits from these deals? Who pays the price? And how has this nexus of money and influence shaped the decisions of governments for decades? In Britain, the arms trade became a Faustian bargain, intertwining economic survival with moral compromise, a pattern repeated across the world from Washington to Riyadh as power slipped further into the shadows. And yet, as the shadow of the arms trade lengthened, its influence became harder to trace, woven into the fabric of geopolitics and impossible to disentangle from the conflicts of the modern era.